Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Got to talk low. I'm in the hotel. We finished the screening tonight, and I saw quite a few people sent me. First, one of my mentees in the Bahamas, he sent me a couple of posts from online. One of the posts was dealing with Devon Franklin and Megan Good filing for divorce. And the other was dealing with Steph Curry, a rumor about Steph Curry and his wife having an open relationship. But my wife told me that from her research, she saw that that's have neither been confirmed or denied. But with Devon and Megan, I think what people have to realize is it's a lot to it, and this is just my opinion. This is just outside looking in. I don't like speaking on people's stuff, but I understand I kind of have a duty to it because I speak on love and relationships, and a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people, or millions of people who follow me online look to me to speak on certain things. And the question that I'm getting is, Tony, can you speak to this for the people who will lose faith in dating and doing it the right way? And I want you to understand they're not getting a divorce because they were abstinent until marriage. Because if that was the case, it wouldn't have lasted 9 years. They would have realized they weren't sexually compatible in the first year. It's other things at play. And, Devon is like a minister. And so when you preaching and you doing all of this, your marriage is going to be under attack. It's going to be spiritual warfare. And then, Megan, she's been in that industry for all her life. I remember her from My Brother and Me. And my wife, would tease me because I used to talk about when I was watching My Brother and Me, that's what I thought was attractive, Megan Good. Of course, she was a little kid, I was a kid, and didn't really know. Now, in that industry, we know that it's a lot that goes with it. It's a lot of spirits. It's a lot of spiritual warfare. It's a lot going on. One of the things that I understand as a man is that women like Sierra and women like Megan Good are portrayed and they're objectified by the media. The media objectify these women, and so the men who watch them see them as a sex symbol. And these women don't get the opportunity to meet a man who is just genuinely interested in them. These women are in the minds of men like a fantasy, a pinup doll. And a lot of times the fantasy doesn't match the reality, because at the end of the day, all of these types of women, they're just women. They're just humans. So they stuff stink too. Number two, it stink too. They have monthly cycles too. They have facial breakouts too. They're gonna have ingrown hairs. They're gonna have everything that every other woman go through. But also, depending on the industry, it could be a lot of spirits. It could be a lot going on in their life. It could be a lot of pain. It could be a lot of trauma that plays into the relationship. There could be, if a person has been turned over to a certain lifestyle or doing certain things, there could just be difference in beliefs. And so I never pay attention. I never take a Hollywood relationship too seriously, because I, being close enough to the industry, understand the spiritual warfare and understand the things that's at play. And I understand the high expectations and the short attention span and the temptation and just the egos when you come in and you got money You done had money, you done touched money, you done smelt money, you praised by the world, you coveted by the world, you lusted after by the world, and then you go into your relationship and the communication may be different, the belief system may be different, at the root things may be different. Your history and your biography may not mesh. Your future, your goals may not mesh. There may be a different level of spirituality or spiritual maturity. There, one may be really into God and wanting to serve God and live right and do the right thing, and another may be battling with some spirits that are hard to overcome. And this happens across all relationships, but especially Hollywood relationships where the devil is so prevalent in that industry. And the seven deadly sins, I guess you would call it, is just so prevalent. And it's a lot that goes on. And it's a lot you have to deal with and contend with, because your mind starts to think the grass is greener. You a lot of times get into a relationship, you want to change somebody. If you go into a relationship like the Hollywood relationships, it could be a situation where you see a fantasy and then you get the reality and the buzz could wear off. And so in a situation like this, the abstinence is different. It's different than abstaining as two everyday people. So, and it's hard because, I met them in person one time, and I know Devon, and I have his phone number. We've texted a couple times, so it's hard speaking on people that, mutual people. But at the end of the day, my work, and I had to answer to God. And so the lesson, what I want you to understand is, if you're not a Hollywood star, if you don't live in Hollywood, if you don't do movies, if you don't make movies, stop putting your hope in the relationships of entertainers. Stop putting your hope in love and your hope in relationships in other people relationship. Me and my wife don't do Hollywood, but you should not have your hope in love existing in our relationship either, because you never know the inner workings of somebody's relationship. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never know the spirits that's at work. You never know the motives and the reasons. So on the outside looking in, if I'm a man and I'm being honest, if I come into a situation and you meet someone of the status and stature of Megan Good, for one, she's been put on a pedestal and she's been idolized and she's been fetishized and fantasized. So you're not gonna go in and shoot your shot the same way you would shoot your shot with an everyday woman, with a woman you bump into at Starbucks who is not a celebrity. When you bump into a woman at Starbucks, or this everyday woman who is not a star, who has not been portrayed as a sex symbol, and if you are a man who you're not a virgin, then you're not gonna be as inclined to abstain because you've rode that bicycle before. But when you meet a woman, and when a woman meets a man, so if a woman meets this man and he's like this Christian man and he's like this pastor, then, or just a Christian, an outspoken Christian, and if her past is different, like we don't know if her past is she was promiscuous, or she used to curse like a sailor, or she used smoked cigarettes or smoked weed, or have had threesomes, or have dated drug dealers, or dated pimps or rappers, and if she has a different past, then she may want to look pure and want to look righteous or holy or evolved or healed in the eyes of this man. And this man may want to tread lightly because his name is on the line. He doesn't want to be included in a Me Too movement. And so the abstinence could be by default and not by a genuine desire to be pleasing to God. It could be because of tiptoeing or walking on eggshells because you want to be respectful for the stature and the status of this person. And in an everyday sense, it could be like the principal of a school dating a pastor. It's like because of your status in the community, you don't approach it the same way as you would with a person who is not known in the city or cannot expose you. So it's kind of like you're going to move differently, and it may have nothing to do with God. The other thing is the business of love. So the reason why this cannot be related to everyday relationships is because the business of love. When you see a couple get together and within a decade of being together, they monetize the relationship. And especially within 5 years, they monetize the relationships. And this is common in Hollywood, to monetize love. I have other clients with YouTube channels together, with Instagrams together, who do campaigns together. I have several clients who they have monetized their relationship. And that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because it opens you up to spiritual attack. It puts your relationship on Front Street. And that's why people always ask me, Tony, will you have your wife on? Why does your wife come on and talk to us? Because my wife doesn't want to come on and talk to you. Because my wife has no desire to be a life coach. My wife has no desire to be a speaker. Our book, A Woman's Influence, my wife had no desire to write that book. That's why at the end of each chapter, she only wrote 2 pages. That was something that the publisher asked us to do. The book deal is my deal. I signed a book deal for the book Make It Work. But when you sign a book deal, they make you sign a 2-book deal so that they can make sure that if the first book is building your name and getting you press and it doesn't really profit, that next book they can finish recouping their investment and they can eat. So that's why A Woman's Influence came about. But I wrote the whole book. So if the book is 200 pages and if it's 20 chapters and my wife wrote 2 pages per chapter, that means she wrote 40 pages. That means I wrote 160. So she had no desire to do that. She did that because that's what the publisher asked for. And my editor who acquired my book is also the same editor who acquired Devon Franklin and Megan Good's book. So she had saw a blueprint. She had saw that work. This me being transparent. Now, the difference between me and my wife did not abstain. So you see, we didn't abstain until marriage, and we're going on 15 years of marriage. And I cannot foresee a divorce. It's nowhere near divorce. And so we did it, quote unquote, the wrong way, and then repented and got right, and God corrected us. They did it, quote unquote, the right way, and then it ended. So that is a lesson in doing what you do and taking ownership of your choices and never feeling like it's too late or it's too early to invite God into the mix and to do it the right way. So me and my wife, she was 19 when we met, 20 when she got pregnant. I was 21 and then 22. And so we didn't have it's totally different. You know, when they got married, me and my wife had already been married 5, 6 years, and they were much older. When they met, they were much older, so they met in their 30s. So you got more experience, you got more teachings, you got more lessons out there on abstinence, on doing it the right way. You got a brand. So it's totally different with where you're operating from and what you're pulling from, the knowledge that you have. And so you can't look at this as, oh, love isn't real or abstaining isn't worth it, because it's spirits at play. It's spirits at work. And, you know, just for the sake of, you know, not saying everything, I can't break it down all the way and explain to you what I see, because you can't see what I see. But it was some spirits that were opposing spirits in these relationships, these celebrity relationships that we see that end. It's spirits that are opposing relationships. And instead of coming together and building and working together, those spirits go into spiritual warfare. And then that ultimately leads to irreconcilable differences. And it doesn't mean that it can't be restored and that it can't heal and it can't come back and somebody can't change, but it comes down to ego. It comes down to your history and your biography, what you're used to, belief system, the foundation, and what spirits had been adopted. Jezebel spirits, or Delilah spirit, a spirit of David that had Uriah's kill, put on the front line and slept with Bathsheba. That particular portion of the spirit, you don't know what spirit was entertained, and you don't know what battles, what addictions, you know, if it was other things at work that play a part into it. And so when I first seen it, just knowing Hollywood and knowing how that lifestyle, that area, understanding history and biography, understanding ego, understanding the test that you're gonna face in a relationship, I knew it wasn't gonna work. I knew it wasn't gonna work just by looking at them and their makeup and their history and just who they were. I knew it wasn't gonna work. But we stay together. When a relationship is over, a couple will fight for years. And so I gave it 8 years, and they were married 9. And I gave it 8. And on average, when you have a lot to lose and you're gonna let a lot of people down and a lot of people gonna be disappointed, you'll last on average 8 years. So you'll see 8 is like the magic number for a lot of couples that got a lot to lose and everybody counting on them. And so, you know, it's sad. It's sad for me to see, because a lot of people, and I don't rejoice in that. But my thing is, on one side, it's like I don't rejoice in it, and on the other side, it's a good thing, in the sense of we gotta operate in our calling. So if you call to motivation, then you should motivate. If you call to make films, then you should make films. If you call to do comedy, then you should do comedy. The problem with our world is we have out of shape trainers. We have people who have not stood the test of time in a healthy marriage, teaching on love and relationships. We have broke financial advisors. We have a lot of people operating in spaces that they're not called to operate in. And so on the good side of it, it's okay, now y'all could do what you called to do. Instead of writing relationship books to make them hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, or, you know, do those interviews with Oprah, instead of, writing books on this different stuff, now you can focus on what you call to do. And it could be restoring, healing after divorce. That could be another calling. But you can't, for those who see this stuff happen, you can't lose faith in love, because God is love. Tony Gaskins and Cherie Gaskins is not the representation of love. Devon Franklin and Megan Good is not the representation of love. God is love. So you got to stop putting your hope in other in other couples. You got to stop putting your hope in love, in celebrity, in Hollywood, in all of this, because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never know, and you never know why somebody together. And so for me, I saw it as, and it's hard to tell y'all the truth now. But for me, I didn't believe it, because I'm a man, and I could see women, and I could see Devon, and I feel like his heart wanna be right for God. And to me personally, Megan Good did not give me first lady vibes, wife of a man of God vibes. And again, I'm saying this is my opinion, outside looking in, and Hollywood, based on Hollywood, it could be something that Devon have to say, oh, that's not the case. And at the same time too, though, I didn't see that in her. I didn't see a wife in her, not a wife to a man like him. A wife to like a Drake, yeah. A wife to like a Michael B. Jordan, yeah. But a wife to somebody who trying to preach, somebody who trying to get in the pulpit and deliver the word of God, but their wife has been put in a sexualized role to where she had to be on the carpet with all of her breasts hanging out, and with all of, and the Bible say, don't be a hindrance to your brethren. So if the woman is, being dressed as a temptress, and she is she's overly sexualized by the media, and all of the assets have to be shown, versus being in a business suit, or even just a full shirt that's not showing so much cleavage, like the dresses with the high splits and all the cleavage. That's more like a temptress type of outfit. And that's a hindrance to the men, because it's right there in their face. And yeah, you could say, oh, you can't tell a woman how to dress, and that's the man's fault. He shouldn't. And it's kind of like a woman who, this man come over and he got on, this man get on Instagram and he got on gray sweatpants, and they form fitting, and his bulge is out there. If you trying to be abstinent, if you trying to live right, and you look at this man and you see all this print, it's no different than a man looking at the woman and seeing all of this cleavage, all of this thigh, and it's just the different stuff, and so I didn't see that. But then too, Devon being in Hollywood, you don't know what spiritual battles he has to face with pornography, masturbation, sex addiction. You don't know if there was anything at play in those areas. The book, The Truth About Men, I didn't read it, but I could only imagine it had to deal with and touch on lust. I didn't read The Weight because I get what it was saying, but I knew that weight wasn't authentic. It's an authentic weight, and then it's an inauthentic weight. And so when I say an authentic weight is when you're waiting not because you just want to get to know a person or not because you respect the person. You're waiting because you want to be in right standing with God. You're waiting because of the religious conviction of the Holy Spirit, the conviction of the Holy Spirit in your life. You're waiting for that reason and that reason only. Not for marriage, not for love, not out of respect, not because this person is a celebrity or this person is a big time filmmaker. And then also it's the timing of the union. At the timing of the union, when it happened, Megan's career kind of was silent and Devon's career kind of was loud. And so when you look at Devon, he really is not like no swag doctor. Like, he kind of looked like the nice guy, the good guy. You don't get bad boy. You don't get ex-drug dealer. You don't get like womanizer as a dog. You get man who could get women, but not like dogging women. You don't get those vibes from him. You get the good boy. But then when you look at Megan, you kind of get like savage vibes. You get like chew you up, spit you out. You get a different vibe, a seductive vibe. And so that union, those type of unions in everyday life and Hollywood life, they're gonna struggle to last for a long time just because it's not, you're not on the same wavelength. And so I told my mentee, and he wrote me the night, he said, man, you be calling this stuff out way before anybody know it. And I told him, I said, bro, it's gonna be hard because it's a lot you got to go through. It's a lot of conversations got to be had. But when people that had money, people that had fame, when people got fans, the ego is gonna be hard to tame. You can't have ego in love. You can't have selfishness in love. You can't have stubbornness in love. You can't have evil spirits in love. You can't have addictions in love. You have to be malleable. You have to be pure. You have to be righteous. You have to be a vessel that can be molded and shaped for love. And it is not easy. It is painful. It's hard to do because you have to be selfless. Both parties have to surrender to the will and the way of the Creator, who is love. And if both are not willing to do that, then that will produce irreconcilable differences. And all these fancy PR stuff of we evolving into our next level and all that hogwash. I hate to say it, all that hogwash. And I'm coming to a place in my life to where, and even I'm under spiritual warfare. And what the devil will do is, when I saw these two posts that my mentee sent me, I said, man, that's why I've been feeling the way I've been feeling. That's why my wife been feeling the way she been feeling. Just kind of feeling tense, kind of feeling, not argumentative, but just it's so many reasons or opportunities to be at odds, to argue, to not see it eye to eye, and to not, come together and work it out. And I tell my wife, I say, I'd rather hurt your feelings with my truth than to hurt you with a lie. I'd rather tell you what I need and where I'm at and where I'm going instead of cheating on you or just leaving you. And I expect the same from her. But I'm so hard on myself that I make sure that I'm working on myself daily. Like I told my wife today a certain amount of money that I want her to spend every month on herself, because I understand and I know one of the spiritual attacks is when a woman doesn't work, like physically go out and work a job and get a paycheck. She could start to feel like she has no ownership. And then if she does feel ownership, the man could start to feel like she's taking advantage and she doesn't appreciate what he's doing. So wherever the devil could test you, if you walking with God, God will show you the test and then show you the answers to the test. And the Bible says whenever you face temptation, there will always be a way of escape. And so, but both have to be rooted and grounded in the Word. Both have to be seeking the face of God. And if that's not the case, it's not gonna work. And this is the thing, I see a lot of guys out here that they know me. They got my phone number, but they don't call me. They don't call me. They don't reach out to me because they know I can see what's real and what's fake. They know I can see through it. And they may feel like I may judge them, or they may not respect me, or they may not value my thoughts and opinions, but I'm making my marriage work. I'm making my marriage work. I'm doing everything in my power, and I'm winning in marriage. And I got the recipe. So it's like, if y'all guys want help, then reach out to me. Like, don't let me have to talk about you online after it happened. Like, reach out to me before it happened and talk through it. Because if you talk to me, it's confidential. I'm not gonna go tell your business online. And actually, if I talk to a celebrity or if I talk to anybody, then I can't address their relationship. If they divorce or if they go through something, I can't just, it's a conflict of interest. It's against my moral code. But if I don't talk to them, then I got to use it as a teaching example. And the lesson here is you can't believe everything you see. And God forbid, but it's other couples out there that have the same dynamic. I see the same spiritual warfare and the same spiritual alignment. When I say spiritual alignment, don't mean a good thing, but the same opposing spirits at work in other celebrity couples that in the next few years could be going through a divorce as well. And so for the people who looking at this and the people who watch this, you got to make sure when you go into a relationship that it's pure. Because a lot of men today, especially Christian men and men who praising God online and saying the name of God, but they single, a lot of men moving for lust. And they lusting after a woman. And they see this woman breast, or they see this woman booty, or they see this woman beauty. They see this woman status, connections, or whatever. And then a lot of women, they see this man status, they see this man money, they see this man connections. And I remember one time, when it was a red flag to me. And it was an interview I heard, and Megan Good said, people gonna think I'm with him to get a movie deal or to get movie roles, but I told him, you can't get me any roles. And then he was like, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If I get you a role, and right then, that's when to me, as a relationship coach and as a man, my antenna went up. And I said to myself, that honestly was a part of the attraction of the position that he's in as a single man in Hollywood, as a producer, and then a woman who's at that point in time, I didn't hear her name in no movies, in nothing like major. And then after they got together, some stuff started to come, some stuff started to happen, but the same thing happened with another celebrity couple that I saw, which I don't speak names until it's all the way out there, but because I don't want to speak nothing on nobody if ain't nothing happened. But the other couple, end up having a break baby. The guy had a break baby, but when they got together, the same thing. The woman career had been big and it was kind of quiet. And then the man was at like the peak of his career. But when you look at the men exes, a lot of time these men exes don't look nothing like these new women. And so the truth is, you're not that guy, pal. And these guys cannot see it. Like, the beauty about my relationship is that my woman wanted me when I was nothing, when I was nobody. She had to want me for me. And yeah, both of us were kind of like in a rebounding state, in the sense of we had been hurt, we had gone through toxicity, and we needed love. But now at almost 15 years of marriage, it's been long enough now to where, that's out the way. And you're always gonna have moments of discomfort. You have moments when you question things, but that's the devil. That's the adversary. And so what's happening is, it's a lot of women with seducing spirits. It's a lot of women that have been promiscuous and that have been approached and used or mistreated by so many men that they have learned the science of luring a man in. They have learned how to speak the language and how to play the game. And a lot of these men coming in like deer in headlights. And they have their issues too. And one of their issues is lust. And so when a man is blinded by lust, he cannot see the spirit on a woman. So he attracts what he is. He has a lustful spirit, and he's attracting a woman who induces lust from a man. Now I'm gonna turn the comments off on this video because this is just me speaking for the people who need a lesson, but I don't want anybody beating up on the couples, and I don't want people guessing on the other couples that may be similar in their union, and all of that, because the ones who still married, I don't want to speak divorce on them. And that's why I'm not saying name. And then for the ones who, which this could be fake news. I don't know. It could be fake news, but I doubt somebody of that stature would let reputable magazines like People Magazine report something like that. But and after this video, they may decide to make it work so that I'm not right. And stuff like that happen too. People stay together and get together, get back together and stay together for the sake of other people, so that haters won't be right, naysayers won't be right. But this happening, and I'm an advocate for healthy love. I'm an advocate for women. I'm an advocate for men. I'm an advocate for the underdog, for the oppressed. You know, I want to stand up and fight for the people who being lied to, who being used, who being taken advantage of. But like what I'm seeing is some men who are deer in headlights are being seduced by seductive spirits. And a lot of time, and it happened the other way around too. And then a lot of times when the woman have used this man to get her career back on track, he's no longer needed. And that may or may not be the case with this here, but this is happening. And then vice versa, some men using women based on their name and their status and their connection. You know, like the pastor out of LA who divorced his wife of 12 years, who had 3 of his kids, so that he could go be with the woman who is the heir to the throne of the mega church. And that mega pastor, allowed his daughter to marry a man who was married when he met his daughter. This pastor daughter, this man was married, and married was good and strong and going well. But when this man saw an opportunity to marry this woman who is not as attractive as his wife, who is not as pivotal in his life as his wife, who had done nothing for him, who his wife had done everything for him and built him and made him, he divorced her for an opportunity. And all of these type of relationships are going to be exposed one by one. They're going to fail one by one. If you're doing it and you're not doing it for love, but you're doing it for business, you're doing it for lust, you're doing it for positioning, you're doing it out of, you preying on somebody, whether it's the man to the woman or the woman to the man, is going to fail. And if you do it and you say the name of God and you bring God into it, and you know, one of y'all know that your heart is not pure, and that your intentions are not pure, and that your heart is not positioned after the heart of God, God will not be mocked. And you will be exposed and you will be embarrassed. And so that's why every single day I'm fighting to be the best man that I can be. And I have to be honest in my marriage with my wife. Like I have to hold our feet to the fire. As the head of the household, like sometimes, like my wife, she like these little things, these little artworks and this little stuff. And she get annoyed with me sometimes because I ask her, who is the artist? And what does the artist mean by this artwork? What is the message behind this artwork? Because I'm not finna have just any kind of artwork over my head. It's just a painting. I say, if you talk to that artist, that would be very insulting to tell that artist it's just a painting. And they got these little things that these women love, and they call bear bricks. And it just look like a little bear. So I had to question and say, what is this? Because could this be like the golden calf? Could this be like an engraven, whatever the word is, image? You know, could this be a symbol of worship for a certain culture? Like, who makes a bear? Or a little mummy, or a little, just to stand up in the corner of your house? What do this mean? Everything got a meaning. And so I'm that serious about my walk with God to where I'm questioning the spirits. And my wife, she'll get annoyed with me sometimes, but I'm not finna play with it. I'm not finna play with it. And that's why I get so upset. I get so upset. I mean, it burns me to see what happened with uh, John Gray and his wife and what they going through. And it's like, bro, I get it. Every man cheat at some point in our life. We all have cheated. If a man say he never cheated in his life, I mean, God bless him. But I would have to see him get on a CIA lie detector for me to believe that. Because it's men, we flawed until we are renewed by God. So when I saw what happened with John Gray, it angered me, because I'm like, how you wait until you at your peak and millions are listening to you give the word of God. Like, do that when nobody know your name. Do that before you start to climb. That's when I did it. When I slipped and fell, when I was a dog, when I was out there, God hadn't started to elevate me. I didn't have 1,000,000 people online. I ain't have 100,000. I ain't even had no social media really. I ain't when I had wandering eyes, when I was weak in my spirit, when the devil was trying to trip and trap me, I wasn't doing no videos, and I wasn't on no mountaintop preaching and teaching. And that's what upset me by these men, is they getting a platform and a pulpit and then entering into sin. And they're being used by Satan to make a mockery of God. So then, like the other brother in Houston who leave his wife, I hope she cheated on him. I hope that's why he left her. Because if it's anything less than that, then he leave his wife and then he go get with a reality star. And it's like, how you finna be a man of the cloth, preaching the word of God, with a reality star who is a part of one of the most toxic shows on TV? Like, I'm not computing. It's like, do you love God? Do you want to represent God? Or do you want to be famous? And see, this is the thing that's hurting a lot of men, is a lot of men want to be famous. Let me tell you, and let me tell you what's the difference, is I don't want fame. I'm doing what I'm doing out of a purpose and a calling. I don't want fame. If I didn't have to do this, then I would not do it. I would not do it. And I'm on high alert. I'm watching for the demons. I'm watching for the devils. I'm watching for the spirits. I'm on high alert. These people trying to hack my cards. They hacking my credit cards. And I keep getting fraudulent charges. They trying to hack my Facebook. They trying to hack my Instagram. They trying to hack my Twitter. They trying to hack my YouTube. Y'all see all the spam on my YouTube. It ain't just mine, it's everybody YouTube. So y'all see them spam messages and they have my picture, they have my name or something in there, and they giving you a WhatsApp number. That is never me, but they doing that there every YouTube. That ain't got nothing to do with spiritual warfare. But it's an attack out here. And that's why, and see, these people, the way they move is, I can't even put names in the title because they could get the video took down. Like when you in Hollywood, you going to dinner with the owner of YouTube. Like you on the board with the owner of YouTube, with the founder of Twitter. Like you in board meetings with these people. So they could try to shut me down at any time, but I work for God. And one thing I know, that even if a person ain't living right, if they've ever come into the spiritual realm, they know God real. They might not fear God for themselves. Do you know it was a man, and I be seeing this stuff happen. I have seen over and over people try me, people disrespect me, people, and it hurt me. And I don't think it have nothing to do with me. Like, I don't take it that serious. Like, I don't look at it or get prideful about it. But I don't think it's strange when the Bible say, touch not my anointing and do my prophet no harm. Like, I've seen people do wrong by me, and I don't wish bad on nobody, because God tell you he'll remove his hand if you wishing bad on people, and they whole life get destroyed. One man who did me nasty, he died of a heart attack at a young age, in his 50s. And when I heard it, I was like, whoa. Another guy, I mean, life went to shambles. He started trying to defame my name and going in the industry. Next thing I know, his life went to shambles. And I just see it as you reap what you sow. So I don't wish bad on nobody, you know, and I know that if something happened to me and my wife, or if a woman came out and lied on me, I know the media and everybody have a field day with it. But I never, the reason why I don't do reaction videos unless it's dealing with the body of Christ. But just like a general, a lot of times these just random celebrity couples, I don't really do reaction videos or talk on nothing unless it deal with the body of Christ, because I don't want the body of Christ to lose faith in God because somebody who was preaching or somebody who claimed to know God marriage failed. And some marriages failing, that don't mean that the person has failed God. It don't mean that the person not a Christian. It don't mean that the person not walking right. What it does mean is that God did not put the marriage together. That wasn't a marriage of God, because what God put together, no man can tear asunder. What God put together, the devil cannot destroy. What God put together, it's not going to lose in spiritual warfare when God put it together. So that's what it means, is that God did not have his hand in it, or that the people were not surrendered to God. So this is what we got to know and understand. And that's a sad one now. But I saw it the whole time. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, when any couple I see, I don't know why or how, but I could tell how many years it's gonna last. And I think a lot of people can, but it is some like this right here that people never see coming. It's some like this, like, that people never see coming, that people think that. But I just knew, and I would tell my wife all the time, I said, listen, they're doing too much. They're too young in love. They're too young in the marriage to be so loud. The deeper a relationship get, the less noise it make. If you come out and it's within 5 years and you writing a book on your relationship, you're doing too much. You're too loud. And the devil gonna make an example of you because you're too loud, because you're doing it for the praise, you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the recognition, you're doing it for the platform, you're doing it for fame. Because if it's really about God's work, then God gonna give you the wisdom to understand that you got to be in the wilderness. You got to be in the valley for years before you go to monetizing your relationship, before you go to exposing your relationship. Like, even today, at almost 15 years of marriage, me and my wife will have been married 15 years in like 3 months. And in 3 months and 8 days, we will celebrate 15 years of marriage. Do you know at 15 years of marriage, my wife and I, our relationship is still too young for us to have a podcast together, for us to have a real book together, for us to have a YouTube channel together. Our relationship is too young. If we want to do it God's way. Now, if we want to have an open marriage, if my wife want to be okay with me cheating, if I want to be okay with her cheating, well, that'll be open. If we want to be polyamorous, then yeah, we could do all that. We could do a podcast, we could do a book, we could do a YouTube, because the attacks and the temptation and the things that come your way, it's not going to be a hindrance if you're okay with it. But when you want to be faithful and you want to protect your relationship, because see, what'll happen is when you're in a relationship, it's conversations that can be had behind closed doors, that can be hashed out and understood, that cannot be understood in the public eye. So my wife could look at me a certain way, and I know that this is just, it's fleeting. I hurt her feelings. Like, we was at the soccer game, prime example, we was at the soccer game, I'm filming, and she like, did you get that? I was like, yeah, I did, but you jumped in the way. And so I said that, like, and then she was like, I'm gonna jump up. And I just know she, period about to start, you know, she's sensitive. Now, her friend was sitting next to her. Had I made a big deal of that, and like, had I said, calm down, I just was joking, like, chill out, like, what you pitching a fit for? Now that's a rift. So her friend, had her friend seen that, her friend would be like, oh, their relationship ain't all of that. And her friend would have read into it, the other mom on the team, she would have read into it. And then maybe later, hey, is everything okay with you and Tony? I kind of saw a little irritability in you, and how's everything going? And then now that little opening for the devil to swoop in and start this complaining session or seeing the bad. But when she said that, I didn't even say nothing. I went on about my business, and what you call this is sidestepping the power struggle. They teach that in behavioral science. So I sidestep, you know, or another thing is ignore, redirect, reinforce. So I just ignored it because I knew it just was a moment of sensitivity, a moment of embarrassment, because she jumped up when she didn't have to jump up. She got a little overexcited. She was the only one that jumped up. And we got a history of me getting on to her about getting too animated at games. So it's a sensitive area. See, I understand that, but I'm not gonna stop addressing it because it is a level of maturity. And now when her daddy come to the game, he be loud and stuff like that, and he just like her. So when she get to hear herself, she get on to him and tell him, Dad, hush, stop saying that. You can't do that, Dad, you can't do that. But she don't realize she do the same exact thing, but she can't hear herself. And so my job as a husband is to let her know in truth. Whereas what's happening in marriages today is we're not saying anything, and instead we start to resent our partner. And then we go cheat on them. Or we start to look at other people and think the grass is greener instead of addressing the immaturity in our partner and doing it both ways, addressing each other weaknesses or shortcomings and immaturity, because you trying to refine one another and you trying to build one another up. Not a nagging session, not a complaining session, but hey, I love you, and this is how this appears, and this is how we're being viewed, and I'm standing on the outside looking in. So this is what I need you to understand. And so those are tough conversations, and we will rather not say that, and we set ourselves up for failure. So I would rather my wife be mad with me for a moment. Let's say she's getting ready to, we going on a red carpet and she getting ready to wear a dress that is cut so low her whole breast is hanging out and the only thing covered is basically her nipple. I would rather tell her, babe, I think that dress is doing a bit too much and that you could look just as beautiful with this outfit right here, this dress here, that covers this up. It come here and it got the little collar up there, the no sleeves. You could even have a little opening, just that goes right across the back, just if you want to show a little skin. But just all of this right here, these are sucked on, these are lusted after, these are fetishes of little of boys. These represent a lot. These represent a lot. Whereas a little piece of back skin, it don't represent that much if you want to show some skin. Your arms out, that don't represent that much. Form fitting, okay, that, but when you showing all of that and you got a split that come all the way up to your hip bone, that is very seductive and suggestive, and it's leading people mind, men and women, is leading their mind to the bedroom with you when they look at you, to fornication, adultery. Is leading their mind to the wrong place. So let's not be suggestive like that. Just like you don't want me to wear tight pants with a bulge where you could see my whole print because of the suggestion that it could make to people. So these are the type of conversations that are painful. And so if you married to someone and they're not spiritually inclined or they're not sensitive to the spirit, then that's gonna offend them. And they're gonna shut down. And they're gonna say you judging them. They're gonna say you hate them. They're gonna say you don't like them. They're gonna say you're trying to change them. And they're gonna be stubborn. And they're gonna be egotistical. And they're not gonna see that you're just trying to get them to grow and to be better. And that's how to be, and it's always gonna be like that. Like, the fashion is changing a lot for men. So I notice I'm very conservative. I'm real chill. Like, I'm 100% fine with black pants, black shirt, black shoes. Like, the night at the premiere, I paid for the whole thing. I didn't stand up and say a single word. I didn't want to make it about me. I didn't want to be interviewed. I want to stay out the way because that's honestly my personality. I'm not saying that for clout, because I could have grandstand. I could have said, hey, let me host it. I could have said, let me do the interviews. I could have did all that because I paid for it all, but I didn't want that. I didn't do that. And so I say that to say, I notice even with the fashion changing, my wife, she may get me outfits that's a little loud, that's saying a little more, and that's what other men wearing. So the devil could come to me and say, is your wife lusting after these men who dress like this, and this why she dressing you like that? And then I could turn that into something. Or I could just realize and see that my wife into fashion. She into the latest fashion. She ain't got me wearing, super tight shorts or booty hanging out or all my thigh hanging out. She just dressing me with nice little outfits. And when I put it on, I'm like, I feel good. I feel presentable. And it's not nothing that's changing me. I'm not dressing like Russell Westbrook, which is very fashion forward, very, out there. But I'm dressing comfortable with a little pop. And so, it go both ways. The woman got to be pushing, encouraging, challenging her man in a good way, and vice versa. And a lot of times we don't have that because we're not spiritually inclined, we're not spiritually sensitive, we're not obedient to the spirit, and we're operating from ego, from stubbornness, from addiction, from pain, from trauma. And that's what breaks us down and hinders the relationship. And so all of that goes into play when a couple goes through a divorce. So understand that. Hey, this Tony Gas, I'm tired. It's probably 1 something in the morning. But I had to go and get this in. This clock, it be stopped ticking when you sit it down. It's one of the watches that got to be on the winder. But hey, God bless you. We'll talk soon. Oh, I don't know if this gonna go out before the webisode titles goes out. But make sure you tune in 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be premiering. If you're not in the Blessed Tribe and you want to be able to chat, then join the Blessed Tribe. Only the Blessed Tribe members will be able to chat. And y'all, don't chat too much. Try to watch the film and take it in. And then after it's over, you could keep chatting. But in the chat right there, but keep it positive. And, be clean. Man, if I don't think I'll be able to monetize it because the soundtrack will be put on iTunes, and so any money earned will go to the composer of the music. So I don't think I'll be able to really make money from it. So I appreciate y'all supporting it with a view and with a like. I don't know if it'll have the super chats and all that on there, but we'll try to keep these coming if the Lord keep blessing, keep moving. I'm gonna try to keep producing little stuff. So God bless you. And if you talented, I plan to do more work with the writer and the team, but I'm always open to have multiple projects going at one time and to kind of create my own little network. And I know some of y'all suggested, hey, Tony, you can have a network on Roku, but you got to pay them. I don't have to pay YouTube. So y'all got to have a network on Roku, but I got to pay them to have that. And, to do it the right way. And then if you don't have to pay, then it may not be any monetization either. So YouTube still is my own network because I could put up what I want to put up, basically, for the most part. So we're gonna try to keep producing these and different things. But if you went to film school or you self-taught and you really that deal and you immersed in my message, send an email in to support@tonygasson.com, because even with the team I'm working with, you never know, we may need some people, but need some extra help. So God bless you. And if you work at a studio, you work at Tyler Perry Studio, he'll give you a family discount to use the house or to use the different sets, or a studio in LA, or your auntie or your uncle, or you got an Airbnb that you don't mind allowing the Airbnb to be used to be shot, for a film to be shot or whatever in there. Please, any resources, send it in support@tonygasson.com, and I start kind of making a little file of people, because I want to work with the people who watch my videos to the 1:09 mark. I want to be able to work with those type of people who are immersed in the message and understand my goal, what I'm trying to do. So God bless you. We'll talk soon.